What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Avengers Endgame. I mean, what an epic end to a one-of-a-kind cinematic experience. I mean, you want to talk about one of the best ends to kind of... I mean, if you were to compare this to TV shows that have like been epic, TV shows like Sopranos or Breaking Bad or Lost, some people get angry with the endings, man. And some endings aren't that great. I mean, it's hard to end something that's gone on for a long amount of time, where you've kind of been on rides with these characters. You've grown up with them in a long stretch of time. And the Marvel movies are no different than any of those shows, except for it was kind of the first time they ever did something like this in film versus comics or TV. But it, I mean, the closest we got to this in film were like trilogies, where they're like, oh, they're going to film them back to back, so they're going to be like super consistent and all that kind of shit. And this is by far the next level. Disney's the only company I could think of that could pull it off. Warner Brothers has been trying to do it with DC, and it's just been... I think they latched their trailer to like the worst storyteller I could think of. Visually, Snyder is great, but his ability to tell a story is lacking, highly lacking. With the Marvel movies, they all haven't been great movies. They've been I mean, at worst, decent, entertaining action movies, right? There's some Thor movies that I want to go back and rewatch. I'm for sure going to go, like, this movie made me super excited to go back and rewatch everything, knowing how it ends, how epic this whole thing ends. Like, going back to rewatch everything, I'm highly excited to do that. Especially some of the movies, like I was mentioning, the Thor movies, just did not care about. He wasn't not an interesting character at all. I don't know, just nothing about him. And then they changed him up, and Thor Ragnarok made him more of a comedian. This kind of keeps that going. I'm actually warming up to it. I'm going to get in super spoilers. First off, this has got to be a two-part. This has got to be a two-part episode. I mean, it's a 3-hour-long movie. It's the end of a giant franchise. I have no idea how I'm going to get this all inside of 10 minutes. So this is going to be a two-parter. So look for the second part in IGTV or YouTube. Maybe I'll edit them together for YouTube. Maybe, I don't know. Just spoilers also. I've said about as much as I could say without spoiling anything. And I'm going to talk about spoilers because I want to talk about this movie. Because I was a little nervous going into it. It's, I just listened to the Slash Filmcast. They did their summer movie wager, and they all picked Avengers Endgame to make the most amount of money this summer as far as movies getting released. I would think that's true. So far with Us coming out, and then this movie, although that's not part of the summer movies, two great movies. Great follow-up from Jordan Peele, and this one, a great kind of follow-up to the last Avengers movie with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity War. Just so much goodness. So let's get into it. So the end of the last movie, it ends with Thanos snapping his fingers, and half of all life in all existence, in all universes, half of life is wiped out. Half of the humans, half of the birds, half of the bees, half of the antelopes, half of the horses, half of the Martians, half of the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guys, half of all life. I mean, I don't know if just half of the team, because they are humans, so, some humans left, some humans didn't. A lot of superheroes are gone. So this movie starts off pretty much the first 15, 30 minutes of this movie is what a lot of people thought this entire film was going to be, where they're like, oh, they're going to have to go back and try and get the stones back so they can reverse it using snapping their fingers or whatever, which kind of is a weird, way to use a magical glove. But I'm good with it. I'm good with it. So yeah, this movie starts super slow. It starts off, you see Hawkeye with his family, and they're out playing catch on this farm out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like whatever. And he turns around, he goes inside to go get something, and then he comes back out and everybody's gone. And it's like it's showing the end of the last movie from his perspective, where his family just disappears. And then he goes on a rampage, killing people, all kinds of shit. It also shows Iron Man up in space, super thin. I think it was a digital face replacement. I don't know if he got. Maybe he lost some weight, but I don't know if he got that thin. But if he did, props to Robert Downey Jr. But him in space with the robot chick, Thanos' other daughter that's still alive, and she's taking care of him. And it's just like, it starts off heavy. Man. Starts off like, I got so emotional throughout this whole movie. First off, so emotional. Like, throughout the entire movie, there's scenes that show up, and it's like all of the emotions are in this movie, man. You get stakes, you're stressed out, right? Because the stakes are taken to the next level. You have heartwarming moments, with family meeting family and loved ones meeting loved ones in times where, like, because there's a time travel element to this whole movie, which I'll get to, is just like it was like the opening to a Pixar movie almost, and Disney, Disney knows how to make good movies most of the time. I think they have a good batting record. But yeah, so space, everything, blah, blah, blah. 5 years later, Ant-Man gets shot back out of the van, and he goes to the remaining Avengers who are kind of just trying to keep shit together. The Captain Marvel, who's like the Superman character, she has to take care of the whole universe because, all the Avengers are pretty much just Earthlings. And all the other planets and all the other, they don't have anything. So she has to go. So she's not, that gives an excuse for the Superman character to be gone. Instead of having all these scenes where they're all together all the time, it spreads it out a little bit more. And also gives it more of that feeling of that, half of everything is gone. But yeah, so 5 years later, it's very much like The Leftovers, which was a good show. I think it only went 3 seasons. I don't think I watched the last season. I didn't hear good things about it. But it's a similar premise where people just disappeared one day, and it's society kind of dealing with the fact that happened and what that would kind of do to society if just half of the people just disappeared. So this movie it explores that. Then, Ant-Man gets back in the mix, and because of the quantum thing, he understands, time travel becomes part of how they're going to potentially go and fix the issue. But before that, they find Thanos and they kill him, right away. I don't know if I mentioned that. This is too much. Okay, this is the end of part 1. I'm going to come back in part 2 and talk about some more. So yeah, and if you're watching this, maybe I'll edit it together in some places so you don't have to. All right, part 2 of Avengers Endgame. I'm sorry I'm jumping all over the place. It's just so much. I think I woke up sick today, so I'm a little mentally not there. So I'm going to do the best I can to finish this up nice and tidy for everybody. But we left off time travel, and this is it's getting exciting, man. The first part of this movie was super slow, kind of just letting you know how depressing it is, really showing you some great performances from these actors. And then it gets into this exciting, it's like, oh, now we have a mission. We got to get these motherfucking stones back, and we got to use time travel to do it. And there's all kinds of references to like so many pop culture references that added just a level of humor to this. And it's not like they're just referencing other things from this movie. Like there's referencing like all kinds of movies. Big Lebowski is a huge reference in this. Back to the Future is a huge reference in this, among others. But they have to go back in time and figure this shit out and get these stones. So they got to research where these stones are at different points in time and travel there and make shit happen. And that's where things get interesting. Then the movie kind of turns into what like TV shows will do during like a holiday episode. They do a flashback episode where it's like, hey, remember this Marvel movie? Because they're going back in time and into events that they're like they're taking place. Although they're like moments and events that aren't necessarily in those movies. But that's one of the reasons why I want to go back and rewatch a lot of these movies, because there are a few scenes where Thor is going back in time to his Asgard, I believe. He's somewhere. He's trying to get one of the stones that Natalie Portman has. And, I don't remember those movies at all. I don't even know if I watched that one. I know I've watched some of the Thor movies, but I haven't watched all of them. So it's like I definitely missed out. But even missing out on some of these movies, it didn't really need to get all the references because I knew what was going on within the whole story. I knew the overarching reason they were there. You get interesting new combos because different people are matched up in different ways. Thor gets matched up with Rocket Raccoon, which, they kind of, from the first film where they first met on the ship, they kind of have that rapport. It's going to be interesting also to see where that goes, considering how this movie ends and where people kind of, the deck is shuffled a little bit. Like this is the movie, everybody meets everybody. All the Avengers meet everybody. It's like, and everybody is featured in this movie. Like every single person that's ever been in a Marvel movie is in this movie as a cameo. And it doesn't feel like cheap. Like there's all like purpose in all of it, and a lot of that happens in the final battle scene, where oh my god, this movie is so good. And for sure, spoilers. If you're still not understanding, this is spoilers. I mean, don't watch this. If you want to watch the movie, I just want to talk about the moments and the things I loved about this movie. And I love this movie. I went to a theater, not the best theater. I enjoy this theater because I know it's not going to be super busy. There's a homeless person literally snoring throughout the entire film. I don't know if this person was laying down in the seats or was literally underneath the curtains, underneath the screen, like in front of a speaker or something, but could hear this person snoring throughout the entire movie. People had babies that were crying throughout the entire movie. There was a dude coming in his pants out of excitement, which actually I really enjoyed that. He kind of balanced out all the other annoying people in the theater by his just sheer excitement of like the moment Captain America gets the hammer, like can summon the hammer to him during the battle scene. Like, yes! Like there's so many, and I enjoyed having him sit across the aisle from me because his excitement made me excited and made me ignore all of the other things that are going on. So they go on these. So during this time travel thing, you're getting like the flashback episodes. You're seeing people, other emotional things. Tony Stark with his dad, and Captain America with his old crush. But like everything, it's just so much to talk about. The end battle is amazing. Fat Thor. I can't believe I even said Fat Thor. It's just like when we find out what Thor's turned into. First, he's an alcoholic now, and because he's an alcoholic, he's put on some weight, and he's kind of just let his beard grow and his hair do his thing, and he's turned into not basically, he is referenced as the dude from Big Lebowski because he looks like Big Lebowski, and it is amazing. It is amazing. I hope we have Fat Thor in the next one. I'm sure he'll lose weight after this next one, and he'll be back to normal Thor. But I'm cool with funny Thor. I've warmed up to funny Thor, and it was seeing Fat Thor. I mean, first off, I felt, he's got PTSD, he's got depression, he's an alcoholic, easy to gain weight. Alcohol. If I stopped drinking alcohol, I'd probably easily lose like 10 to 20 pounds. But I enjoy alcohol from, at night. Nice way to pump the brakes at the end of a long day. But yeah, Fat Thor, amazing. Just his character in this entire film is just like Thor not giving a shit and letting go. That gives the humor like I can see him funny now. Like he just all of a sudden turned funny in Thor Ragnarok. This at least, like, I understand like when you don't give a fuck anymore, then you're way more open and honest, and that's where a lot of comedy comes from. And that it just made way more sense once he became Fat Thor. You get young Thanos because time travel becomes an issue in this movie, and Thanos becomes the villain that's even worse than old Thanos. You get the relay race with the new Infinity Gauntlet glove. That's just amazing. You get the emotions of seeing all of the people that were disappeared come back during this epic fucking battle. Because it's like, once they bring people back, that's not the end. That's just like ramping up to the climax of this film. It's so good. This movie is so good. So it ends with like a character dying and the funeral of that character. It's just like everything I've heard other podcasts, just like it really worked as ending this chapter and also passing the torch to new Avenger characters. It's just so good. Avengers Endgame. I started to rewatch the Infinity War. It's on Netflix, and it's like I'm watching it through a whole new set of eyes, which is why I just want to go back and start from the beginning and just go. I wish there was like somebody needs to buy me all of those on like iTunes or something so I could just burn through them all. But it's just such a good, like there's just so many things. I love so much of this movie. There's one moment in this movie that I didn't like. The one moment in this movie that rubbed me the wrong way, when Tony Stark is able to somehow get the stones from Thanos, from young Thanos, where he's able to deliver the line, "I'm Iron Man," which was amazing, that scene. But how he was able to acquire those stones or get the glove, it was very confusing, especially for being such an important part of the movie. But other than that, everything was amazing. It was just like mind-blowing that they were able to pull it off. So yeah, go watch it. Thank you for watching this 2-part special episode. New episodes of this show come out daily. Subscribe on IGTV and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. InspiredDisorder.com for all of my original artwork. Go buy some paintings now. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out!